Ladies and gentlemen, there's a perfect storm brewing. Or maybe, the storm's already here. The most recent sandbox tuning patch, also known as the one that nerfed 120s and aggressive frame shotguns, kinda shook up the meta in PvP. And quick side note for my PvE guys and gals, don't worry, we're gonna be talking about that in this video as well. But these changes did open the door for a few things to happen in the Crucible. 140 RPM hand cannons are back on the come up, and a lot of players have holstered their Fellwinters. Finally. And with Fellwinters losing a chunk of its consistency, I've been seeing two exotic shotguns a lot in PvP now. First, the ever deadly Chaperone, and a gun that until now I think a lot of players have been underutilizing. Lord of Wolves. And I mean, there is a chance that this spike in the Lord of Wolves usage is due to the fact that Aztecross did a video on it. And side note number 2, if you ever wondered about how good of a player Aztecross actually is, well, he's good. He's really good. This guy's a murderer. He does not miss. But anyway, I would not be surprised one bit if that Lord of Wolves usage continues to rise and it finds its way back up near the top of the meta. But like I said earlier, we're going to be covering both sides of the game in this video. Looking at Lord of Wolves stats and perks, running some damage numbers and functionality testing, and talking about its performance in both PvP and PvE. And if at any point you do find this video useful, helpful, or enjoyable, please leave it a like and consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel if you're not already, to catch more Destiny 2 content presented by yours truly. But into the review with a look at Lord of Wolves stats and perks. Lord of Wolves is a solar exotic shotgun firing at 640 rounds per minute with 30 rounds in the magazine. And this is a burst fire weapon, with each trigger pull expending 5 rounds. As far as the stats go, I mean, read into them as much as you want, but this is a one-of-a-kind weapon, so it can kinda be tough to gain a sense of how these stats affect the weapon's performance, which is why I like to test things. There are a few things that stick out though. That recoil of 90 causes this weapon to only pull slightly to the left as the burst releases. We're looking at an aim assist value of 80, allowing for a good bit of forgiveness on shots that are slightly off target. We're also looking at pretty good marks in reload and stability, considering that this weapon is a shotgun. The intrinsic trait on Lord of Wolves is Shrapnel Launcher, stating that this weapon fires a short-range burst of solar damage. The exotic perk is Release the Wolves. Holding the reload button swaps to a longer, more powerful burst. This fire mode will both increase the damage and allow this weapon to fire a 10-round burst as opposed to a 5. But this comes at a cost, which we're going to look at in the next section. If you have the Lord of Wolves exotic catalyst unlocked, when in the Release the Wolves fire mode, you're going to gain increased reload speed, and when in the base fire mode, you will gain increased stability. As for how to get Lord of Wolves, it is a random world drop, so if you don't have it yet, keep your eyes open and your fingers crossed. But with that, let's hop into the PvE section and start putting this weapon to the test. Alright, first thing that we need to look at is the spread of the projectiles in the two different fire modes. In the base fire mode, we are getting a nice tight vertical pattern as those 5 shots release from the weapon, only pulling this gun slightly to the left. When we have the Release the Wolves fire mode selected, this weapon sprays those 10 projectiles pretty much everywhere. Even when in very tight, that spread is still a mess. So you definitely want to make use of this fire mode at extremely close range. For the reload speeds, at base the reload is coming in at 1.63 seconds, which is pretty respectable. When in the Release the Wolves fire mode, we are getting that improved reload speed, dropping it to 1.05 seconds. Back to the base reload speed with a single shotgun loader mod equipped, we're looking at 1.28 seconds. Then Release the Wolves with a shotgun loader mod will provide a very fast reload speed of 0.87 seconds. For the ammo reserves, we can carry up to 120 total rounds for Lord of Wolves. With a single shotgun reserves mod equipped, we can carry up to, well, this is awkward. I guess a shotgun reserves mod does not work with Lord of Wolves. So don't bother, it's either broken or not intended to increase the ammo reserves by design. I don't know, but it doesn't work. 120 rounds seems to be what you get. On to the damage numbers though, and as always, allow me to remind you that
PvE damage numbers are variable and will change depending on content scaling or enemy tier. So I always do my testing in the Conflux Lost Sector on Nessus to keep those damage values consistent and comparable from video to video.
At base, Lord of Wolves is hitting Carl the Colossus for 3,315 points of damage to the body and 4,778 points of damage on a crit. So maximum potential damage within a single mag, if every round lands as a crit, is 143,340. The time to dump all 30 rounds comes in at 2.56 seconds, so single mag damage per second sits at 55,992. But when Release the Wolves is selected, a body shot's going to score 4,144, and a crit is going to register 5,078. Maximum potential single mag damage in this fire mode is 152,340. Time to empty here comes in at 2.21 seconds. So single mag DPS with the Release the Wolves fire mode is 68,932, which is very impressive. The thing is though, unless your target has a crit box the size of a small planet, or a teammate has it wrapped up with Divinity, due to the unruly nature of the burst, you're probably not going to see that full damage. So we'll consider the body shot damage in this fire mode as well. A full magazine of body shots is going to total out to 124,320, with the single mag DPS coming in at 56,253. And you'll probably sneak in a crit or two during the process, but realistically, don't expect too much more than these values. For comparison's sake, Fourth Horseman I suppose. They're both energy exotic shotguns, and neither of them have any mechanic based or kill activated perks to increase the damage. Keep in mind though, these shotguns are functionally very different. So while on screen the Fourth Horseman's damage numbers look much better, it really only fills one role, and that is to dump big damage on a single target. So I mean, take away from this comparison what you will. Performance wise though, Lord of Wolves does pack a good bit of utility. The base fire mode does deal some good damage, and this damage can be delivered consistently from just outside of a spread shotgun's optimal range. So while this still is a close range weapon, you do not need to be right on top of your target to be effective with it. At least, not in the standard fire mode. This makes it a pretty useful tool for bursting down packs of adds, major targets, or even champions in scaled up activities. And when it's time to get up close and personal with a boss tier target, we can swap to the Release the Wolves fire mode for some pretty impressive damage output from extremely close range. And when looking at single target damage, something else that you may want to factor in is that reload speed. We saw that with Release the Wolves and a loader mod, you can achieve a stupid fast 0.87 second reload speed. And I don't care what gun you're looking at, that is quick. This can give Lord of Wolves a chance to outpace the damage output of a lot of other weapons over the course of several magazines. On top of that, this is a burst fire weapon, so it can down multiple targets in a single trigger pull. And if you do have the catalyst unlocked, you're going to be generating orbs of power on those multi-kills, which are always useful. The biggest drawback to using Lord of Wolves though for me was trying to take it into higher end content. I took it into a few solo lost sectors, and it's plenty serviceable, it definitely downs the enemies, but close range survivability can become an issue. Especially given the fact that here in Season 14, we have no anti-champion shotgun mods in the seasonal artifact. So you're going to have to stun a champion by other means, and then swap the Lord of Wolves to burst them down. It can be done, but you do need to watch your positioning. And then the reserves mod not working, like, really? Some more rounds for Lord of Wolves would be very nice, since this gun does tend to run through ammo pretty quickly. And lastly, as you saw, the consistency of the Release the Wolves fire mode leaves a lot to be desired. This fire mode used to be egregiously strong in PvP, which was what prompted the nerf a while back. But I mean, in PvE, it sure would be nice if those bullets were a little more on target, you know? Speaking of PvP though, let's hop into the next section and have a look. Into PvP and starting things out with our damage numbers. Base fire mode first. On a crit, we're landing for 61 points of damage per projectile, and to the body, we're scoring 43. So by landing 4 crits, we will down our target nearly instantaneously. I say nearly because it does take time for that full burst to release. Provided I did my math right, we're looking at just about 0.25 seconds. In terms of body shots, we're going to need to see all 5 of those projectiles land to deal lethal damage. For the physical range, damage fall off is going to occur past the 10 meter mark, like we would expect from a shotgun. But Lord of Wolves can consistently secure 1 burst kills from that 10 meter mark. Even back at the 11 meter mark, we're still able to secure a 1 burst kill with only body shots. You move back any further than that though, and 5 projectiles do not have enough punch to down the target. And Lord of Wolves damage is going to bottom out quick, seeing only 9 points registered at the 15 meter mark. If we factor in crit damage though, we can secure 1 burst kills somewhat reliably from the 12 meter mark. But the projectile spread is going to limit the consistency just a bit. At the 13 meter mark, with crit damage, 1 burst kills technically are possible, but I wasn't physically able to secure one in testing due to the widening of the spread. Now, they released the Wolves Fire mode. Crits are going to score 65 and body shots are going to land for 53. So we're only going to need 3 out of the 10 projectiles to land as crits, or 4 out of the 10 to land to the body to down our target. And something to take note of, this fire mode does seem to have some pretty wonky hit registration. There were a couple of times in testing where only 1 or 2 damage numbers popped, and one instance where no damage numbers popped at all, and the target still went down. I really don't know what to say about it, I don't know why it happens, just be aware of it. But with Release the Wolves, we are dealing with a very erratic projectile spread. Everything seems to be on the up and up inside of 8 meters, where 1 burst kills are scored very consistently. But at the 9 meter mark, we seemingly hit a wall, where landing enough projectiles to down a target becomes a serious issue. When squaring off against a super though, in the standard fire mode, inside of Lord of Wolves' optimal range, we can 2 burst supers by landing either 7 crits or 10 body shots. When Release the Wolves is selected, 1 trigger pull will absolutely do the job, but you do need to watch your spacing because you have to be in pretty tight to land enough projectiles. Performance though, after the most recent tuning pass, we're exiting the era of Fellwinter's being the outright best special weapon in the energy slot. It was just so consistent, and a legendary weapon to boot, so it left your options open for an exotic kinetic or heavy weapon. We were kind of in a why wouldn't you equip it situation. Now the door is open for some special exotics to get some serious consideration, and Lord of Wolves is ready to step through that door. And I gotta say, even after the big nerf to Release the Wolves a while back, this was an extremely good weapon, but not one that was necessary. If you're someone who hasn't picked this gun up in a while, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how serviceable it really is. Lord of Wolves has 3 big things going for it: ease of use, versatility, and lethality. For me, even as an average to above average PvP player, landing shots with Lord of Wolves can feel effortless at times. The stability feels fine. We have a good aim assist value, essentially enlarging the target's hitbox, and the recoil in the base fire mode is very manageable. And you're spawning in with 15 rounds, allowing for 3 trigger pulls right off the jump. Most special weapons only start off with 2. Plus we have a 30 round magazine, so if you have the ammo, that's 6 trigger pulls before a reload is needed. And the in-air accuracy on this gun feels spot on. Not once while using this weapon recently did I ever feel that I was at any sort of a disadvantage when airborne. It seemed extremely reliable. We're also looking at strong multi-kill potential because of that very brief pause between bursts. I'm figuring it's only around 0.2 of a second. So this weapon does hold up very well when there are multiple targets in the area. And on top of all that, Lord of Wolves is strong versus Guardians in their super. I personally like the base fire mode 2 burst game plan since I can begin to engage a bit earlier. But Release the Wolves will certainly sit a roaming super down right now if you can time it correctly. But there are a few things you're going to want to watch out for. First and foremost, this weapon does have a time to kill. Lord of Wolves is not an insta-kill special. The time to kill is very fast, but one-hit kill weapons can get the better of you if you're not on your toes. Also, watch your range. I found it pretty easy to overestimate the reach of this weapon simply due to the manner in which it fires. It does have a little better lethal range than spread shotguns, but this weapon still is a shotgun. Lord of Wolves needs to play by shotgun rules. Close range firepower, don't forget that. Lastly, your personal exotic preference. Maybe this just isn't how you want to spend your exotic slot. You might have an exotic primary that you prefer. You could be a crack shot with Chaperone, which, man, seems to be getting a good bit of footing in PvP right now. Watch out for that gun too. Or maybe you prefer weapons that perform at range, like a grenade launcher, fusion, or sniper. I don't know, I'm not you, but playstyle and personal preference always factor in. But overall, Lord of Wolves in PvP, solid. Very, very solid. For the verdict, in PvE, Lord of Wolves is a good gun. Great? My personal opinion, no, but it's good. This is a weapon that's easy to wield and has some very respectable damage output. In PvP, like I said earlier, it would not shock me one bit if the heavy usage of this gun continued. Lord of Wolves is consistent, accurate, and extremely lethal. And with the sandbox shakeup that we just saw, Lord of Wolves is absolutely worth considering in your Crucible loadout. Lord of Wolves is a very good gun for PvP. If nothing else, try it out, feel it out. You might be pleasantly surprised. If not, go back to what works for you. But I really don't foresee too many people being disappointed with this weapon's performance. If you did enjoy this video though, like, subscribe, share, any support that you're willing to lend is greatly appreciated. To contact me, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, join our super awesome channel Discord, link is in the description, or comment down below and I will do my best to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this weapon breakdown. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.